The rain fell hard that evening, blurring the city lights into a soft golden haze against the cafe windows. Inside, beneath the warm glow of chandeliers and the hum of quiet jazz, a man in a navy suit sat alone at a table for two. His name was Alexander Hayes, a name that echoed power, wealth, and control. To the world, he was a self-made millionaire, a man who conquered markets, led empires, and never failed. But beneath the sharp suit and steady gaze was a man who had long stopped believing in love. He wasn't cold by choice. It was simply what life had made him. The years of betrayal, broken trust, and hollow smiles had built walls too high for anyone to climb. Tonight was supposed to be his last attempt. One final blind date set up by his best friend, who still believed Alex had a heart left to give. Alex didn't expect anything. He was only here to prove to himself that love was a beautiful illusion, a story people told themselves to feel less alone. He checked his watch, gold and heavy on his wrist, and sighed. The seat across from him remained empty. And that's when the door opened. A woman stepped in, clutching a black umbrella, her hair slightly damp from the rain. Her dress was simple, soft cream that contrasted beautifully with the storm outside. She looked around, hesitant, almost ready to leave. Then their eyes met. For a moment, time stilled. It wasn't her beauty that struck him, though she was undeniably beautiful. It was the calm in her gaze, the quiet strength, the way she looked like someone who had known pain and yet chose grace over bitterness. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the magic of unexpected connections, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share more stories that remind the world love can still find its way back home. She walked over slowly, her lips curving into a shy smile. "You must be Alexander," she said softly, her voice carrying a warmth that eased the chill in the air. He nodded, motioning for her to sit. Her name was Claire, a teacher who loved books more than diamonds and laughter more than luxury. From the very beginning, something about her felt different. She didn't look impressed by his expensive watch or the waiter calling him sir. She looked at him, not his wealth, not his success, but him. At first, he kept his words measured, guarded. Years of boardroom battles had taught him how to control every expression, every silence. But Claire didn't fill the quiet with nervous chatter. She simply smiled, asked questions that weren't superficial, and listened, truly listened, to every answer. As the minutes passed, Alex felt something shift inside him. It was unsettling the way her presence made him forget the loneliness he had worn like armor for years. When she laughed, it wasn't polished or rehearsed, it was real, unfiltered, musical, alive. And for reasons he couldn't explain, it made him want to laugh too. He learned that she'd lost her fiancé 3 years ago in an accident. She spoke of him not with bitterness but with gratitude, for the love they had shared and the lessons grief had taught her. "Life doesn't wait for us to be ready," she said quietly. "It just happens. We either close off or we grow from it." Alex's throat tightened. Her words hit something buried deep within him. He had closed off long ago, after his mother's passing, after his first love left when his world fell apart. Success had become his only comfort, money his only proof that he was still worth something. But here, sitting across from a woman who had lost everything and still smiled at life, he felt small. Not in a painful way, but in a freeing one. As the evening went on, the storm outside softened, but inside him, another kind of storm began. A storm of realization, of emotions long buried clawing their way back to the surface. For the first time in years, he didn't want the night to end. When she excused herself for a moment, he caught himself staring at the door, afraid she might not return. That fear, raw and unfamiliar, was proof enough that his heart, though scarred, was still alive. When she came back, she caught his gaze and smiled knowingly, as if she understood every unspoken thought. They talked until the restaurant began to close, their untouched coffee long gone cold. Outside, the rain had stopped. She stood at the door, about to leave, when she turned to him and said, "Thank you for not canceling tonight." He was silent for a moment before replying softly, "Thank you for showing up." That night, he couldn't sleep. Her words replayed in his mind, every smile, every glance. He realized he hadn't felt such peace in years. It wasn't the kind of thrill that faded. It was something deeper, something that made him want to be a better man. Over the following weeks, they met again and again, sometimes for dinner, sometimes for coffee in the park, sometimes just to walk in silence. Each time he felt more human. Claire had a way of making the world feel lighter. She didn't talk about the future, didn't expect promises. She simply lived in the moment, and that simplicity humbled him. Yet, as love began to blossom, so did his fear. He had spent so many years protecting himself that vulnerability felt dangerous. What if she left too? What if he lost her like everyone else? The thought haunted him until one night he almost called it off, but before he could, he saw a text from her. Some things are worth risking your heart for. He sat there staring at the screen, realizing she already knew his fears, and accepted them anyway. That night, for the first time in years, he cried. Not out of pain, but release. The next morning, he went to her school unannounced. She was teaching a group of children, her laughter echoing across the playground. Watching her, surrounded by laughter and light, he finally understood. Love wasn't about perfection or safety. It was about courage, the courage to try again, even when you've been broken. Months passed and they grew inseparable. Alexander found himself doing things he never thought he'd do, helping her students with art projects, cooking dinner instead of dining in luxury restaurants, laughing at small things. He began donating to schools, funding community programs, rediscovering what purpose truly meant. Claire didn't change him by demanding anything. She changed him simply by being there, by showing him how beautiful life could still be. But love, as always, tests those who dare to feel it deeply. One evening, Claire fell ill. At first it seemed like exhaustion, but tests revealed something far more serious. A rare heart condition she had been quietly managing for years. She had known about it but never spoke of it because she didn't want pity. Alex was shattered. For the first time, he felt truly helpless. Money couldn't fix this. All he could do was be by her side. The following weeks were a blur of hospital visits and sleepless nights. Yet even then, she smiled, reassuring him. "You gave me more life in these few months than I've felt in years," she whispered once, her hand weak but warm in his. He couldn't respond. The pain in his chest was unbearable, not from losing her, but from realizing how deeply he loved her. All the walls he built, all the control he held, it all meant nothing now. What mattered was her. After a long battle, Claire passed away one quiet morning, sunlight streaming through the hospital blinds. Her last words to him were, "Promise me you won't stop loving. Not just others, yourself too." For weeks after, Alexander was silent, the world blurred around him. But slowly, her words began to heal him. He started a foundation in her name, helping underprivileged children get an education. He returned to the same cafe where they met every year on the same date, sitting by the window where she once stood with her umbrella. He never stopped missing her, but he also never stopped living. Because that's what she would have wanted. Years later, he became known not just as a businessman, but as a man who gave back, who believed in people. And every time someone asked what changed him, he would smile faintly and say, "Someone once taught me that love isn't about forever, it's about making the time you have mean something." So if this story touched your heart today, if you believe love can still heal, still transform, still find us when we least expect it, please like, share, and subscribe to help us reach more hearts across the world. And before we end, tell us in the comments below, do you believe one person can change your story forever? Because Alexander did. And sometimes that's all it takes. One soul, one smile, one unexpected moment in the rain to remind us that love is still worth believing in.